So time for Storm. I wasn't going to do this, and then I decided to do this. Mostly because I wanted my chibi mask. So here we go. One thing I discovered, it is nearly impossible to control 4 characters through here. I ended up ditching everyone by the end. But, so I went through 3 times, the last part 3 times separately, with 3 characters, and the other one I just left behind. She's still sitting in Storm. It's called Eye of Eden. I still call it Storm because I got used to it, and there's some discontent with the word Eden being used. So now I did cut out problem spots where I had problems, because just for time I didn't cut out that one apparently. I've actually gotten stuck in the wind is very, very strong here. So they fixed some things here that were problematic before. I don't have warp anymore. That stinks. That was very useful in Storm. I don't have warp between my characters. That would have made things a lot easier. The wind is horribly strong here. So you got to really time these things well. But they're doable. Just what I'm looking at here. This whole part is brand new. I say brand new within the last couple of months. I mean, last few weeks. It was added to the beginning very recently. It can be a little bit challenging to find your way through the first time. It's a little bit weird. This here used to be impossible to get over, and I always used my chat table to get over it. But they seem to have fixed it. This gets very, very, very dark, and this is something I think they're going to have to address, is how dark this level is on some devices. I'm using this video is iPad Pro 12 inch. And okay, so now we're at the final building. Like I said, this was added, so finding your way around through here is just the very first part of it. There's this little gap, and that's where you go to get to the old entrance, which is actually also an addition. You know, this level keeps on expanding at the beginning and changing at the end. So now we have the door, and this is about where I got where I abandoned one character. I had some difficulty, so I cut out the difficulties so that it just didn't take up time. I had to reset myself a few times because I just got stuck in places like I didn't know where I was. I got hit by a krill once, and I'm like, I have no clue where I am. Couldn't get back. I was down below somewhere, so I just went home and came back. So there's some cuts in this so that you don't see all that trouble. This can be a very difficult to maneuver area. I'm stuck with the wind at the moment. This has changed a little bit. See, it's very, very dark. This isn't. My brightness is fully up, and this is where I had my first difficulty with the 4 characters. I ended up getting hit and then didn't realize one, and so I gave up on trying to do all 4. But it's really difficult to keep track of where they all are. So there was a cutout of the problem. It's very, very, and this is what I was looking at. It's just so dark I couldn't see where I was going. At least you see the red glow up there like lava rocks, and you can get into there. And of course I don't have warp anymore, so I had to do this with every character. So I'm going to cut that part out too, where I'm just waiting for my other characters to catch up. It's good practice. So there's one. There's 2. Okay. And I ditched the fourth person. I guess she's still sitting down there waiting to finish. I might leave her there. I might just reset her. So now again, I'm skipping some difficulties that I had, or some catching up. I'm trying not to cut out any progression, but I think I might have skipped one little progression point where I got hit by the krill. I cannot see a thing even looking at the video now. But this is just how dark it is. It's horrible. So there's a stair. This is all the same as it's been. There's little areas to hide under from the krill. But if you can just run up it, you can just make it all the way up before the krill comes back on his next trip around the area. And this is what happened. Is I was sitting here waiting right here for my other characters, and I actually got hit, spotted and hit. So there's the first problem. That's why they're ahead of me now, and they're beyond the bridge you want to use. So I was trying to get everybody situated, and this is another spot I had some difficulties. I cannot see a thing in the game or now. So there's the bridges we want to take. Sorry for leaving that menu up. I was obviously now leading with a different character. And here's where I just lost track of where I was completely. The pipe you want was right ahead, and I couldn't see it. So this is only skipping a little tiny bit. I was on an iPhone 10, a iPad Pro 9-inch, and iPad Pro 12-inch. The iPad Pro 12-inch is the newest one, and it's the braids, the one with the braids. That's the device. Right now I am using it. I'm on the iPad Pro 12-inch. I can't remember. I guess it's the first time that has ever happened. I've never had him come in there and smack me. Didn't lose any stars, but I've never had that happen before. So I left that in because I'm like, oh, that was new. So now trying to get some charge back up. And then get everybody situated again, handheld. Okay, back up, and this is all the same, very, very dark. I ended up having trouble, this whole area I had trouble in. The battlefield isn't as bad, but it is still bad, and there's places I got stuck in. And other people are reporting the same thing, that there's just places you can get stuck in. Just holes. You are trying to maneuver through, and you just get stuck in a hole, and that happened to me too. So I might be skipping a tiny bit of this area too. And this is where I ditched everybody, or I had to go one by one. I could not go as a group. Here's where this was okay, and then when I moved on, I got stuck in a hole. And I wasn't sure anybody was going to get out of it. So now I'm trying to re-find myself. And like I said, can't see a thing. No idea where I am in comparison to the rest of the thing, as I got blown back. So there I'm just trying to get my bearings of where people are. There we go. That's the direction we want to go. See, I was completely thinking I was on the other side of the battlefield. There is a krill up here still, and they added him. Same time they added a second krill to the wasteland. They've taken the second krill and wasteland out, but they've left the krill alive in the battle, in the ship, and this krill here. You can get by him, and you can also just run right under him and just get into the tunnel as quickly as possible, and he will lose you, even if you get spotted. But you got to be quick about it, and I think that happened here. It happened on all three of the people I was carrying through here, pulling through here. I might have gotten hit by him once. I don't remember now. But if you wait for him to go to the right and then go through after he's gone around, then you're pretty clear. But if you go too far to the right, you have a little more trouble getting up into the tunnel, especially if you've lost light. and of course I can't see anything. But here he spotted me. But I'm just going to keep on trying to run up and get out of his view, and I did. So there's the first stars. And I'm going to skip where I get everybody else. They're just going to suddenly appear. Here they are. Just like having warp, only I didn't have warp. So here's our first star, and you can see the second one. I was taking pictures of it. Then I'm like, whoops, wait a sec. Forgot to get it for the other two. Okay. Now, that's because I lost some stars, so I have something to upgrade. The max you can have at this point is going to be 50. Once you get to this last one, is 58. At least on your first run through. This will be your 58th. But of course, I lost some on the way, so I was at 55. Or closer to 55. If I did I got right back to 55 on this one. And here's where I decided to go single. Warp can still be useful. The trick is you got to stay charged. So you've got to have light in order for somebody to warp to you. But if you can get to safe places, you can still use warp once you have it open with people. This is completely different now. They've completely redone it. This has seen a lot of changes, and this one is the most different yet. You're lighting each of these little statues with a star. So you leave a star at each of these statues, as many as you can. There's definitely a strategy. I haven't figured it out yet. And what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to tag at the end a different run through this on, so you can see a slightly different take. Same number of candles at the end, but just a slightly different way, because I found a way to work with this stun lock right here. Or I didn't find a way, I learned a way. But see, so many stars disappear on you while you're stuck on the ground. Now, one of the things is, I don't think you're supposed to do this all in one go. I think it's designed so that you are going to only get a couple of candles. You're only going to be able to leave so many. See, it's taking what, 7, 8, 9? Before I can even move again. And yeah, this is really brutal. But what you can do, because you can only go to each of these shrines, each individual, and there's another 6, and another 6, and another 6. You can only go to each of these shrines once in a week. But you can come back to Storm and try to catch the ones you didn't get. So that's the strategy to getting more than just 2 star candles for the whole trip, is to come back more than once in the week that you have. And you might get, I think the max, I have no idea what the max is. There's a lot of these statues. But you can only place as many stars as you've got. So once you run out of stars because they're getting hit out of me, that's that many fewer I have to place. The interesting thing, and I don't know if this is design or a bug, so I'm trying to tap those as quickly as I can when I see the hands. I'm out of stars, and I'm still running around. Actually, I'm not out of stars yet, apparently. But even once I run out of stars, see, I have 6 left. I'm still running around. It gets really brutal here. As if it hasn't already been brutal. I've got 2 left, and am I going to reach more? Ah, I got 1. Okay, so I've got 0. But I'm not dying yet. I mean, I'm dead. I'm not gonna survive. But I'm not actually on the ground yet, and I'm looking around for where I'm supposed to go next, because I'm like, okay, I'm not dying. And I was a little nervous because of my going back and forth to home and such, that I had screwed up my game and got stuck in a non-death bug. But you can see I'm still running into those statues. There's a whole bunch up here. So I'm headed up to this door, this light hole in the wall here. And I remember this was as far as I could go in previous attempts at this, before this reset, before this version. And in this one I'm now pretty close to on the ground. But the reason I'm going to do the other one at the end of this, so after this is all done, is I got through the doorway and didn't die till after I was through on one of them, and then the other one I was a little not quite so far through. So it's almost like I guess, like I said, whether this is bug or design, you have to reach this point before you'll die. So even though you have no more stars to place, you still get all the way this far. It's interesting. It's actually interesting because it lets you kind of explore. So that's why I don't know if it's intentional, because at this point now I'm on the ground crawling and I'm going to die. So I just don't know if it's intentional that you have to get here, or if it's a bug that you get here. It happened on all three runs of this. All 3 characters each died either here or through the doorway. My poor little darkness covered body. And there's my star. Okay, so now we're going to do it all over again. This is the character I did today. Once again, start out right there from the first one. And I went just a slightly different direction, I think. Well, initially, I think I went the same direction. I tried to find more hiding places. I think I might have kept my light a little longer. I'm not sure. Two things I was reading was chirping, and I guess this is a way to. And I didn't keep my light any longer. That was horrible. Chirping once you get knocked down helps you get up quicker, and I guess friends, if you have friends in here with you, they'll help keep you charged. Chirping, I call it chirping. Chirping comes from Journey, but I tried to find more places to hide. Although you get a little bit off track if you go over there to hide. Oof, that was my first big hit. If you wait in shelter long enough, like here, you will regain your light, but I think only one wedge. But again, like here, you could have people warp to you once you regain your light. Or if you have a table, you could use it. If people are sitting at your table over there, you can move your table over here. Obviously, I don't have a table or warp with anybody right now. But then you'll regain your light, and then you have to wait. I didn't wait long enough. But you will eventually regain your light. Oops, and there was a hand back there. There was a place to drop a star I didn't see. I'm trying to do it as I go, as I run, to get as far down as possible. I did make it a little farther down with stars, but obviously I didn't place any more than on the last run, because these were both two candle runs. Ugh, that was bad. I'm trying to find the blocks of 3 because there's a few blocks of 3. I'm quite off course, I think. Again, this is my iPad Pro 9-inch, and it's just as dark. You just can't see anything. I did not try on my phone because, I mean, the idea of doing this on the phone just is like, yeah, right. But that's why I ditched one of the characters, because she was on an old broken phone that I have, which is my 4th device besides the Mac. And I think I am out of stars now. Yeah. Nope, there was a few more, and I skipped a couple, so I didn't even see those. I'm only seeing those on the video now. The ones that we've seen that I've skipped, I'm only seeing them now. I did not see them on the initial. Oh, there went my last star. And now I'm just going to be able to run. Like I said, you could just sort of go around and explore and see where everything is. There's a whole bunch up here. So if you can make it up here on a second run, and that's what I was talking about, you can make it here on a second run during the week. Make it a little further each time, drop more stars, because I mean you won't be dropping stars in the beginning, so you'll have more stars to last you. Obviously, if you buy wing buffs, you're not going to be able to use them until you've run through Storm again. So running through Storm again will also give you your wing buffs. But you need to collect enough stars to make it worth it, and collecting all the stars in the game can take an hour and a half to 2 hours, unless you're very, very speedy. And obviously some of them require a companion to collect them with. But this one, I'm still running around up here. By the last run I was dragging myself. Here I'm still running around. I sat here for a moment and waited. I'm like, I'm not sure I'm dying. So I went ahead and moved around. And probably if I waited long enough, I would. Along with that guy there. But, I mean, if you had the time to spend just playing through the game, collecting stars and losing them in Storm, you could get through here once a day and certainly by the end of the week hit all of the shrine, all of the statues. There's no way in the heck I would ever do that myself. But I'm sure there are those who will. Here I dragged myself into the hall here and then died. On my other account, I got all the way to the other side and I'm like, am I ever going to die? I sure hope so. And I did finally die. But here I'm dying right here. But it appears you have to get to this point before you'll die. Unless you will before. I mean, just the fact that you're running around and all that. Now, one of the reasons I decided to just do that is because this was a little bugged. And today it worked fine. Yesterday it did not. You are moving, you're falling. You can't tell, but you are falling. There we go. It was repeating the scene. And this one it didn't do it. So I decided to use this end scene instead. See, all of this was, we actually got a sneak preview of this scene and the final ascent months and months and months ago. And they accidentally put it in the game and then pulled it a couple of days later, and some of us were lucky enough to see it. But this has been actually added in fairly recently, and kind of ties everything together, and now it really does tie everything together. Oops. Because in a moment you're going to see, this is what wasn't working before correctly, and I still don't know if this is working correctly, but it worked better than it has. Press anywhere and hold to ascend, to rise. And then you see all the lights, all the stars you dropped become children, and they're freed, going up to the sky. Those are the sky children, and star children. So they're the ones those are the stars you collected. Now you've freed them. It says press and hold, so I did again, and I ended up going into here rather than into a repeat of the scene, which is what was happening before, the mirror child scene. Beautiful music. I'll try to remember to turn it up. They've put this on a little bit more of a path. Initially, I know I was confused where I was supposed to go. You could end up going in circles. It's a little more direct, clear where you're supposed to go. They've also given you a manta to ride through part of it, but it's your choice whether to ride the manta or not. He'll grab you if you want him to, but you can also fly up yourself. So it's not a forced railroad track kind of thing to the sky. It's your choice to fly or take a ride. For a while they gave you infinite cape here, but now no, not so much. You need the jelly's help. Unless you haven't run out of cape by now. I always do. So I don't know if there's other strategies and other secrets to Storm. I haven't played with anybody yet through it, only myself. That's actually the first 3 times I've been through it was 3 characters of my own. So each one's solo for that last part. So I don't know if there's strategies people are using. There probably are. The Discord group, the official That Game Company Discord for Sky, is probably the best place to go to find stuff like that because they all talk about all the stuff that they have discovered and tips and tricks that they use. Obviously the wiki is pretty much only going to have what anybody decides to volunteer to put on there besides me. So you can always go there to find hints, but the better place probably to find hints because there's just more people in the Discord. I'll try to remember to put a link to the Discord group on this video and the other videos, along with the wiki. This view is just so pretty. I love it. The original, all this was not here. You just ended up in orbit. And there was no getting there. You just appeared there through a doorway and you were in orbit. So this is all very much expanded. And it's funny as we went and thinking Storm was going to be changed, or Eden was going to be changed, and they've actually made it more brutal. So their idea was a little different than I think some of us had for the end of the game. It's not bad. It's actually a lot better. Well, it's still brutal and difficult. It's better than it used to be, as far as continuity and the way it fits in. It actually ties things together in a way. I mean, there's no specific, clear story, but you at least get, you're freeing the children of light. You're taking the stars from the children of light, then you're returning them at the end, and you're freeing them by dying. You're freeing them. So at least it brings it together. Whether it's a strong story, I mean, Journey wasn't a strong story either. It was completely up to the player's imagination what it meant, and a lot of people tried to say this is the story, and it's like, sorry, you are wrong, because even TGC can't agree with what the story is, because they all had different ideas for what the story was. So I like that they've made it nonverbal. I like that they've just made glyphs, and they pretty much are leaving it. For me, it works well enough. it doesn't need to be deeper than that. It's a game. And like Journey, you start over every time, so you have to recollect your wings every time you play. Unlike Journey, you never actually have to go through Storm more than once just to see what it's about, and if you don't really care to buy every cosmetic in the game, because if you're happy with the basic cosmetics, once you've seen what Storm is about and don't feel like doing it again, you really don't have to. You won't be able to offer star candles for friendship, but friends can offer them to you. You won't be able to open warp yourself with friends, but friends can do that for you, to you. I mean, if that's... And here you see the names of your friends in the sky, and I'm on my main account now. So I would have thought I would see more names, and I must have missed them. There's a few. Because I have hundreds of friends on this account. But I certainly didn't notice it. There used to be a lot more. You saw a lot more of your friends. There's strings of people, and each has names. But it's not quite... the sky is not filled with them like it was in earlier versions of this. This is a little bit bare. It's even more bare on my other account because I have no friends on that account. See, there's a strand of names, another strand of names, another strand of names. There might be more strands to the left and right that I can't see. But here you don't have infinite cape, so you do run out of cape power and just have to coast. It's very bright. See, Storm was very dark, and this is very over bright. It's like some setting just isn't right. Well, of course, my iPad is turned up to the max, so I could see in Storm. Didn't help. Storm and Wasteland both are very dark on the iPads right now. And here we are. Another reason I wanted to use this account is because I took stock a little bit more of what's here. One question is where the elder hair is, the hair that the elders wear that used to be available to you in little kiosks here. Here's where you deposit your stars. However, your stars seem to be missing from the animation. I don't know why I put 4 candles, because it gave me 2. Okay, so now when you step forward from here, I backed up to take some pictures. That obviously gateway is where you're headed, but here's a Cape kiosk and a constellation shrine. And now here, what the deal is, as I understand it, you must complete the rest of the constellation first. There is a node on each constellation that will bring you this message. You can see it in home space too. On this one, it's in the very middle, the center, because I'm actually missing an emote. So there's no, and then here it's there, that one. So you must complete the whole constellation first. Once you've completed the whole constellation, which means buying all of the cosmetics in that constellation, opening everything in that constellation, when you tap that, you will be offered the hair of the elder. That elder, so the beard for the isle, the dreadlocks for the forest, the spiky on the sides for the prairie, etc. That's my understanding. I've never seen it because until the reset, I had everything, so I wasn't ever going to see any of that I know of. I never even noticed that before. Somebody mentioned it on Facebook. I'm like, oh, okay, that's helpful. I mean, just it. There's no indication to tap that and find something. Here I'm backing up to take some pictures. So that is my understanding of how it works. Is that node will become active somehow once you have the entire constellation opened, and you'll be able to then probably purchase, because they've always been for purchase. Well, they were free long ago in the beta. Probably purchase with hearts the hair of the elders. Hopefully they're cheap. inexpensive, but you know, with TGC, you never know. Especially considering how much you're going to spend candles, hearts wise, just to open it. IL will be your quickest because there's only 3 emotes. Vault will be your most expensive because all the cosmetics, Vault and Wasteland, are expensive. Wasteland has the black cape, which is 50 hearts right now, and Vault has the white cape, which is 50 hearts. The blue cape is 25 hearts, which breaks my heart because I can't afford it yet. The sky is so pretty, and of course you see the sky logo in the stars at certain angles. So there's this little spiral ramp that leads up to a chat bench that seats 2. You're capeless here now, which means you can't fly around, which is kind of sad. We used to be able to fly around up here, even in this version, or this rendition of it. Not this version, but this rendition of Orbit. We were able to fly around, but not now because we have no cape. Actually, you will get your cape. Once you have wing buffs, you will get your cape in here, so I think then you will be able to fly around. I just can't right now because I don't have any wing buffs to acquire. The wing buffs I'm going to buy, I will not be able to actually get any benefit of until after I've gone through Storm again. While you can buy the wing buffs here, wing buffs are where you unlock, and I'll show it, where you unlock the rest of the Spirit Emote map. That's a wing buff. So you also get a wing buff for that. That is unlocking, and it's also a wing buff. So it gives you on your next playthrough, or your next playthrough after your next trip to Storm, you'll start with that many stars, however many wing buffs you've bought. So in this case, I'll have bought 2. So after I go through Storm again, at the end of my next Storm run, I will be given those 2 wing buffs to start the game with. So I'll start the game with 2. And at that point, well, I'll get there. I'm going to get ahead of myself here because I will eventually. I might just cut the rest of this out. I'm going to go ahead and switch, flip to the end where I'm going through the gateway and then into home space. Okay, so after looking at the sky quite a number of more times and taking more pictures, they have this pathway now marked out so you can see where you're supposed to go, which is nice. But that tells you a lot clearer where you're supposed to go. It used to be a little bit confusing. And you go into the gateway and into the credits, and you do want to watch the credits, but you can also skip them by quitting the game and restarting. You will then turn up in home space, which is where you will end up at the end of the credits anyway. They're beautiful, watch them. Now, what you end up with here, when I have no cape at the end because I had no wing buffs, you end up with a star child. And this is so that you can collect your cape because you weren't given it in Orbit. Once you have wing buffs and you're given your cape in Orbit, you won't see this one anymore. I don't believe. You didn't before, so I assume you won't anymore after this either. But you need it to get your cape. So you actually end up with 1 extra wing buff in this first, because at the end of Isle I had 6. Yeah. So you end up with 1 extra wing buff here. So here, once I go into the map, I'm going to choose to look at the folded arms crossed because I want to see the black cape and the no face mask. It's hard to tell that that's what's up at the top of this one. So I'm going to unlock, and that's my wing buff. Now that wing buff will not be available to me until after I visit Storm again, so I'm not going to get the benefit of that star. 30 hearts for the no face mask. That's the blank face, the black, no eyes, no detail on the face. So the wing, that is a wing buff though. That's what that little lock is. It opens that cloudy area and then you can see what's available up above, and that will benefit you after your next storm run. And that's how you increase your cape run, playthrough is by opening those winged areas. You both get more cosmetics, plus you get the benefit of that wing buff after your next storm run. They used to be available immediately, but they took that out again several weeks ago, and now they're available after you've run storm again. Basically, you can only get them after storm. So since you've already been through storm, you can buy them in storm from the constellation maps, but you still don't get them until after your next storm run. So anyway, that was Eden, and did a little bit of the stuff afterwards. I hope this was helpful. So stick around. I'll probably be doing another one of these after global launch.